Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have been wanting to do this particular video for quite a while now because I did one similar to this with my Chantecaille foundations / base products, and it was very well received because it was basically a roundup of all of the ones that they offer, giving short demos and little mini reviews of each one on different days. And I thought that I would do that with Nars because I have all of their foundations. Now, the only thing I don't have from their base products is their tint and moisturizer. I have gone through a whole one of those in the past and it's great, but these are the actual foundations. So I'm going to be talking about Sheer Glow, Soft Matte Complete Foundation, Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, and the newer Light Reflecting Foundation. So each day I'm going to be doing a different foundation. I'm going to be showing you how it applies, and I'm going to be showing you what it looks like on fresh skin versus full face of makeup. And then at the end, I will go over my final thoughts. Now, for all of these, everything but the blush, eyes, and lips are consistent. So I have the same powder on. I use the Charlotte Tilbury powder, the same bronzer. I use the Laura Mercier bronzer, and the same highlight, the Clinique Chubby Stick highlight, which I will have everything for all of the days listed and linked down below. So if you want to see my roundup of all of my Nars foundations and hear my thoughts and what my favorite one is at the end, then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's start out with our first foundation. This is the original Nars foundation in my collection, and it is Sheer Glow. This is one that I have had for years. I have used in my kit for years. It is a go-to, and it works every single time. So I am going to be applying this with my fingers, and I will talk about it as I go through. Pretty much all of Nars complexion products are meant to be applied with fingers. Do I always do that? Absolutely not. I use a brush, I use a sponge. I get great results pretty much with all applications, but they are formulated to be used with the fingers, the warmth of your hands, melding it into your skin. So that's how I'm going to do it for the sake of these reviews, but you do you apply it however you want. Now, one thing I don't love about this foundation is the only one that does not come with a pump. I have no idea why. You can buy a separate pump. I think that's just a way to get more money. I don't agree with the fact that it doesn't have a pump. It is very unnerving, but alas, that is my one big con for this foundation. Now, all but one of the foundations that I'm going to be reviewing in this video are in the shade Santa Fe, which is described as a medium with neutral to slightly peach undertones. So that is the shade. So this one is the one that I'm going to talk about that has the most shade options. This comes in 40 shades and it retails for $47. So it's not the cheapest of the ones I'm going to talk about, but it's not the most expensive either. It is marketed to have a natural finish with sheer to buildable coverage. It is alcohol, oil, and fragrance free, which is really nice. And some ingredient call outs that it does have, especially for those who, really want to know about skincare in their foundations. This does have glycerin, and it is on the very top, like it's the fourth ingredient. Glycerin is a very hydrating ingredient, and I like that in a foundation. It is one kind of skincare type ingredients that I do think can make a difference. Now, it also has vitamin C and turmeric extract. I don't know that that really makes a huge difference, but it doesn't hurt as long as you aren't allergic to either one of them. So I hope you can see how incredibly easy and fast that was applied using my fingers only, and the coverage is really nice too. So this is with foundation and this is without, so you can see a little bit of my redness. It definitely evens out. It is a light to medium coverage. I'm solid medium. I'm not seeing any redness poking through. So I will finish this side and give you a close-up. See how, like, when I'm done, I'm kind of using the warmth of my fingers to pat it all in. I think that makes a big difference too. Now, I can't tell you how much product I use because it doesn't have a pump. So I'm not able to say, oh, I use one pump, I use two pumps. I just used enough product. I do have some left over. I don't really feel the need to build it up anywhere. I really like this coverage and I really like the finish. I don't know if I have mentioned it already, but I'm using the Supergoop matte screen underneath all of these so that I have a very consistent canvas to work on. So you're able to see the actual finish of each foundation. And I do believe that this is a solid natural finish. I'm not overly glowy. I'm definitely not matte. And I am struggling with some very dry skin the past few days. I think I finally got it under control, but I was having some major flaking going on. I still have a little bit left, but applying that with my fingers on top of it did not exacerbate it at all. It actually smoothed everything out. It is a very silicone-based foundation, which I can feel in applying the foundation. It goes over very smoothly. Is a close-up so you can hopefully see how it's laying. Doesn't accentuate any pores. In fact, it actually is a little blurring in my opinion. Hopefully that's coming across on camera. Sometimes I say that and then I go to edit and I'm like, well, it doesn't look like it, but I promise to me it is. So I'm gonna finish up my makeup real quick and I will be right back. Okay, so makeup is complete. And I am going to be using the exact same powder, the same highlight, the same bronzer. I might change up the blush, definitely the eyes. So I will list down below everything that's consistent, and then I'll list per day what I'm wearing otherwise. But I think the most important thing to note is that the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish Pressed Powder Airbrush Flawless Finish, I never remember the name, Complexion Perfecting Micro Powder is going to be the powder that I use to set all of these foundations. So this is the finished look. The highlight is cream, the rest is powder. So it can kind of show you how both of the formulas work with the foundation. But I am liking how this looks. I have always liked how this looks. That's why it made a place in my kit, and that's why it will probably always have a place in my personal collection. So I will wait till tomorrow. For you, it'll be a couple seconds. Let's head on into our next foundation. Time for another foundation. And today we are going to be talking about the Nars Soft Matte Complete Foundation. Now, I know I said in the Sheer Glow that it was the only one without a pump. Well, I lied. This one doesn't have a pump either, but it is in a squeeze tube. So I do feel like it is a little bit more controllable as to how much you initially get out to use. This is also the only one that's in a different shade than all the other ones that I'm going to show you. This is in Patagonia Medium 1.2. Please do not ask me why I chose this color and not Santa Fe, because that is what I am in all of the other Nars foundations. I have no idea, but I get this to work. Now, this I'm going to use with my fingers as well. On the how to use portion of the website, it says before anything else, pat, press, and blend. So we're going to pat, press, and blend. You can see it's not a super thick formula by any means, but this is definitely the most matte out of all of the ones that I am going to show. And it is the one you need the least amount to get the best coverage. So I'm starting out with a very small amount. My microphone's right here, so you're probably annoyingly hearing the patting sound. And I'm pressing, kind of stippling in as I am blending it out, which again, it also says on the site to do. So this is a foundation that comes in 34 shades. So not as much as the Sheer Glow, but still a decent shade range. It is $40, so it's gonna be the least expensive out of all the ones that I talk about. And it has the most amount of product. All of the other foundations are 1 ounce. This is 1.5 ounce, so you're getting 50% more for the least amount of money. So it's definitely the best bang for your buck. But do we see how easily that small amount spread? This is a full coverage foundation. Claims to have a 16-hour wear. It has some skincare, ingredients in it, but its main claim is oil absorbing powders within the formula that are going to help keep it matte for that 16 hours. It claims to be transfer proof, shine proof, and oxidation resistant. Okay, so this is with the foundation easily patted onto the skin, And this is without a very small amount. So let's finish up this other side. And it does say to start in the, center of the face and then pat and blend out. Okay. So this is a full face of the foundation. So you can see it is definitely matte, but it's not sinking into my pores. It's not sucking all the moisture out of my skin. It's just matte, and it stays matte. I have worn this for longer than 16 hours, and I can attest to the fact that it is very much a long-wearing foundation. It absolutely does not move throughout the day. This is another one that I have added to my professional kit. It's one of my very favorite mixing foundations. I love to mix this with other foundations. I love to mix it with illuminators. It has worked with every single thing I have decided to mix with it flawlessly. It either adds a little bit of a matte finish to something that I may find to be a little too illuminating, or it adds longevity to something that may not last as long as I may need it to on any given day. I still have product on my hand, and I can still work from that product. So it's not a super fast drying formula like some matte foundations can be, but it does set after a few minutes to a nice, almost powder finish. So I'm gonna finish up my makeup real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the lovely messy hair, but the finished look using the Nars Soft Matte Complete. So honestly, I cannot sing this one's praises enough. It is just so beautiful. I did set with a Charlotte Tilbury, but I set very, very lightly. This is definitely one that I don't feel the need to set. So if you're someone who doesn't like to use powders, this might be something to look into. And even though it is a matte foundation, I just don't feel like it sucks me dry. I think the thing you need to really pay attention to is how much you apply. This can definitely go to the wrong side if you use too much, but applying it like I did and applying the small amount and watching how far it goes is, to me, really the trick of this foundation to get the desired finish, the longevity without it looking cakey, and still get all of the pros without getting any of the possible cons. So hopefully that was helpful. Let's move on to the next foundation. Okay, today we are going to be talking about the Natural Radiant Long Wear Foundation. Now, it is fairly early in the morning. I had a high anxiety day yesterday because we had a lot of storms that were going to be potentially quite a few tornadoes. I don't do well in wind. I have lived here my entire life. I should be used to it by now, but I will never be used to it. So I slept so hard last night because I was just so glad it was all over. And so I have some creasing going on because despite special pillows, that sometimes I still wake up with my face flat in the pillow. But we are going to do this anyways. So this one is somewhat similar in claims to the soft matte as far as like how long it's going to last. It does say it's a 16-hour foundation. It's untraceable, unstoppable, unlike anything else. Long wear is finally lightweight. It's high coverage, super natural, breathable, fade resistant. It's supposed to smooth the look of your skin instantly and over time. So I have Santa Fe and this one as well. And again, this says to apply with your fingertips. So that's what we're going to do. These are really tiny pumps. So that is like 2.5 pumps, if you can believe it. That's really the equivalent of like 1 pump on most other foundations. So I am going to start out in the center and work my way out. I don't have any corrector on. I'll have to remedy that here in just a second. I mean, real quick, just like all the other ones, this is a medium full buildable coverage. It claims to have a natural finish, transfer resistant, sweat resistant, fade resistant, non-drying, and alcohol, paraben, oil free, and fragrance free. So it ticks off quite a few boxes when I'm looking for a foundation, as long as it actually performs like it claims to. So here's the side with foundation. And it is, comparable coverage, I feel like, to the soft matte. This is the side without. but it does have a little bit more of a natural finish going on. So I do agree with that claim. It's definitely not as matte as the soft matte. I did use quite a bit of that. So I'm going to put 2 more pumps, and it is drying a little bit, and it looks like it might be oxidizing. So you can see that's the new, that's the old, maybe about half a shade. So something to keep in mind. I do feel like that this one can be rubbed in a little bit more. Like the soft matte really did need to be patted in as the instructions stated. And this I can actually move around a little bit more, but it's also applying great just patting in, which I appreciate because that's less disturbance to the SPF that I have underneath. Just like that. We have a full face of foundation. I still have quite a bit on my hand, so I would say I used about 3 pumps for the entire face. This does claim to be buildable. I don't feel that I need to build up the coverage anywhere. I feel that I really like the amount of coverage. It is a little bit tackier than the soft matte, but I still think if you have, extremely dry skin, or if you're just someone who absolutely does not like to set with a powder, you could probably still get away with not doing that with this foundation. Pores look really good. Again, it blended in really nicely. So let's see how it works with the rest of my makeup. Okay, so this is a full face using the Natural Radiant Long Wear. To me, now this is obviously not the first time I have ever worn any of these foundations, but it's the first time I've worn them all so close together where I can really say, okay, this is how this is different from this. To me, the main difference between this and the soft matte is the texture upon applying, maybe the best way to apply it. But other than that, like, it may be a little more natural finish and not as matte, but they're very similar to me in other ways. So I'll talk on the wear time at the end, but this is what it looks like with same bronzer, same highlight, and same powder as all of the rest of the days. So again, the pores look good, everything, blended over it really nice and smoothly. So we shall see how it wears compared to the others. And let's go on to our final foundation for this video. Okay, we are at our last foundation, and for some reason, something is really making my eye water. I have no idea what it is, but it looks like I'm crying. That's why. So we're going to be talking about this is the newest to the Nars collection in general, and the newest to mine as well, the Light Reflecting Foundation. So I did a review of this already. I'll put up a card if you want to check that out, but I'm in the shade Santa Fe. A lot of people said, not a lot, probably a handful of people said that they thought it looked too yellow. I bought this online and I'm going by what I wear and everything else. I can definitely make it work. I don't know, sometimes it translates different on camera, but Nars as a line does tend to be a little bit more yellow in undertone. So it's definitely something to keep in mind if you are looking at what shade you might be and you haven't purchased a Nars foundation before. So this one is the most skincare heavy in its claims. And I talk a lot about that in my review. But it claims to blur imperfections, smooth the look of textured skin, helps to conceal blemishes, dark spots, and redness. And then it helps to visibly improve skin's clarity and look after continued use of 6 weeks or more. This is $49 and it comes in 36 shades. Some of the claims and details are medium buildable coverage with a natural finish, breathable all day wear. It's supposed to feel light as air. You're not supposed to be able to feel this on your skin at all. It's acne prone friendly, sensitive skin friendly, and vegan in its formula. So let's go ahead and get started. This one has a pump and they are very tiny pumps. I feel like that's par for the course with Nars foundations. And like all the rest, it suggests to apply with the fingers. So I'm going to do that and just blend and pat outwards like normal. This is, and as the name states, the glowiest out of all of the ones that I have shown. It says it's light reflecting. That kind of makes sense that it would be the most reflecting when it comes to light. Sometimes I just feel like I'm so redundant. I swatched all of my Santa Fe's next to each other on my hand yesterday. And while this is very similar, it is a touch warmer. And I feel like it gets warmer as it's applied to the skin. Like I do not feel like it is as warm on my hand as it is on the skin. But again, I make it work. But this is with the foundation. I do think, I guess I would agree with the medium buildable. I think it's more of like a light medium buildable, but it's definitely reflecting. I mean, you can see, I'm not near as dewy on this side as I am this side. So let me finish the face. It is applying the same as all of the other foundations, so I don't find like the moisturizing aspects of it make a difference in application, especially if you blend and pat with your fingers. Much shinier than any of the other formulas on the skin. But again, it's not a fault of the foundation. It's a light reflecting foundation. That's what it's marketed to do. But if you don't like glowy, you're going to move on from this formula for sure, as I think you can see. Now, despite it being so glowy, I, again, don't feel like it is really accentuating pores or anything that I don't want it to. I'm going to finish up my makeup. We're going to see if I can get this dialed down a little bit. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you my final thoughts on all of these foundations. Okay, this is the finished makeup on top of the light reflecting foundation. And, you know, the Charlotte Tilbury powder helped mattify it a little bit. And I think it looks pretty good. So I am going to talk about the wear time on all these at the end, but I wanted to show you what the light reflecting foundation looked with a full face of makeup. So let's go ahead and jump in to my final thoughts. Okay, so we are finally finished going over all of the foundations from Nars that I have in my collection. And I'm here to tell you my final thoughts, and I'll go fairly quickly because I do think I touched on a couple of things during the demos, but I'll start where we started. I'll still add a couple of things in. Now, as far as wear time, they all wear really well on me. The one that wears the least amount, which that's not how I want to say that, the one that wears the worst on me, which is still not bad, is the light reflecting foundation. And I talked about this in my initial review of this foundation. It does get very luminous on me throughout the day. It requires touch-ups where none of the other ones do. And I do have to be a little bit more mindful of the products that I use with it so that it will look good throughout the day. So this one is just a little more finicky with wear. It still looks good. It's just definitely the most luminous. The one that wears the absolute longest and is, to me, bulletproof is the Nars Soft Matte Complete. Absolutely, like I said, just bulletproof. It will not move. This is also my favorite mixing foundation, which I touched on in the demo. I absolutely love this to mix with illuminators, to mix with other foundations. It just works the best while adding longevity to anything that I mix it with. Ones that looked best on my skin are the Sheer Glow and the Soft Matte Complete. And this is not only on initial application, but throughout the day. I really like how the Natural Radiant Longwear looks on my skin in the initial application and for the first like 4 hours or so, but then it starts to get a little bit cakey around my nose. It's not enough for me to say, oh, I don't like this foundation, because I do enjoy it. It's just not as pretty on the skin for me personally as these two are. I do feel like there is a range of foundations for a range of skin types. If you have oily skin, don't think any farther than the Soft Matte Complete. Truly, it's going to be your best friend if you have oily skin, especially if you apply it like I applied it. And I will tell you, all of these look best applied with the fingers. That's how they were marketed. It took me a long time to accept that and start practicing that. But ever since I have, the foundations look 10 times better on the skin. So just letting you know that it is a game changer when it comes to Nars products to use them with your fingers versus a brush or a sponge. So definitely this for oily skin. If you have dry skin, I would go with the light reflecting foundation. It definitely has the most hydrating properties and it's going to give you the most luminous look. I had a little bit of flaking going on in between my eyebrows this morning, and The light reflecting, which is what I have on right now, worked perfectly fine with that. Smoothed it out. You know, it does help in that aspect. So I definitely recommend this one if you have dry skin. And if you have pretty much any skin type, I feel like you could get these two to work for you. The Nars Sheer Glow to me will work on any skin type. Now, if you have excessively oily skin, I'm talking like by the time you get done applying your makeup, your oils are coming through, you might want to skip this and go to the Soft Complete. But if you have combo skin, this is going to work for you. I know because I have used it on countless clients. It has been in my kit for years. So, you know, definitely look into that if you just like that natural, no frills, looks good on the skin type of foundation. And then this one, I didn't find it to be that radiant. Every time that I've used it, you know, it's got that natural radiant longwear. I don't find it to be that radiant. In fact, it looks upon first application a lot like the soft matte, maybe a tad less matte. But I still think it's gonna work better if you have a drier skin type than the soft matte, even though I can get the soft matte to work on any skin type because I love it so much. But I do think that for multiple skin types, these two are going to be your best bet. If you're kind of like, oh, I don't know. If you are someone who's like, I have never tried a Nars foundation, I don't know where to start, Nars Sheer Glow. These two, it's hard for me to pick, but these two are definitely my top two, the Nars Sheer Glow and the Soft Matte. I'm going to say overall the Nars Sheer Glow wins only because I've heard a lot of people say that the Soft Matte has a little bit of a learning curve, and I do agree with that. You absolutely need a very small amount with the Soft Matte. It goes a very long way, and I do feel like it's a fine line of if you put just a little bit too much on, it's going to look cakey and like, you know, heavy makeup. So because of that, I'm going to have to give Sheer Glow the win because it's been in my collection the longest. It has never failed me. It always looks good. And I feel like the majority of people can wear this and enjoy it. But these two have made it into my kit. That says a lot. So while I enjoy the natural radiant longwear and the light reflecting, I do enjoy them. They're in my collection. I wear them. These two are definitely the front runners in my book. So the only other thing that I feel like I haven't mentioned that I will be asked about is mature skin. If you have mature skin, I would go with the Sheer Glow or the light reflecting, depending on your skin type and how much luminosity that you want in your foundation. So hopefully this roundup was helpful. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, be sure to put them in the comment section below. If you like this type of video, let me know any other brands that you would like to see it with because I will be happy to start working on that for you. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. I hope you're staying happy, healthy, safe, and sane, and that most of all, you go out and have a very blessed day.